My fellow Americans, this is Taylor Lasch here with another video for Liberty. I want to talk to you today about synthetic cannabinoids, otherwise known as spice, and the reason why it is becoming an epidemic amongst our children, our teenagers, and our young adults. First and foremost, my first key point, I would like to suggest the notion that the primary reason for use of synthetic cannabinoids is nothing more than the fact that real marijuana is illegal. In fact, it is so illegal, it is worse, according to the DEA, than cocaine, methamphetamine, and any single one of their narcotics. In fact, I think it's Marinol, I think it's the name of the drug, is extracted, concentrated THC, or the active ingredient in marijuana, is a Schedule 3 or Schedule 2 narcotic. Now, don't quote me on this. Go ahead, do your research. I'm not here to hold your hand. I'm just here to share knowledge. So, you have the fact that marijuana is incredibly illegal and incredibly punishable by federal standards. Next, you have every single job that you could possibly consider getting tests for marijuana. In fact, it's one of the main drugs that prevents somebody from getting a job. Why, you might ask yourself? Because pot, marijuana, hashish, chronic, reefer, whatever the heck you call it, stays in your system for up to 45 days. Whereas methamphetamine, cocaine, ecstasy, heroin is usually out of your system within 3 days to a week, depending on your usage and the amount of water you drink. Why? Because it's water soluble. Marijuana, on the other hand, has to be metabolized and converted by your body. So let me continue here. We have the fact that marijuana is illegal, which I'm not here to debate the issue, but I do want to suggest to you that marijuana is safer than this beer can that I'm holding here. Copyright infringement potentiality prevents me from showing you the brand in which I am drinking. However, I do want to let you know that marijuana is actually safer than alcohol. Now, I don't use pot anymore, but for years I did. I smoked the hell out of it. Go ahead, FBI, DEA, whoever the hell you are watching my video, try and prosecute me for it. It's long since passed the statute of limitations for my crime, so I can openly talk about it. Second of all, parents. I'm sorry, parents, you are also responsible, and I am a father myself. So we find ourselves asking, why, Taylor, are we responsible for this epidemic? Rather than talk to your children about the dangers of marijuana, and don't lie to them, because children are going to find out from their friends. They're going to find out from other people. Marijuana is safe. Rather instead, talk to them. If you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. Tell your children, look, if you use pot, it's going to slow you down. You're not going to progress in life, because all you're going to do is want to toke up and relax. Now, maybe that's not the way you should talk to your children about it, okay? But lay out the facts about marijuana usage. You end up spending a lot of money on pot, or you grow it and it's extremely illegal and you can go to jail for a long time for even growing pot. So tell your children about marijuana. Tell them why it makes you a non-productive member of society. Now, don't quote me on that. I know that there are a lot of people who are very productive on pot. But tell your children the truth. For God's sakes, they witness you drinking alcohol and you're stumbling over yourself and you're tripping over the bed. You're driving home drunk. But you don't want them to touch pot. I'm sorry, if my child's 18 living on his own and he wants to make the decision to smoke pot, I'm a libertarian. He can go ahead and smoke a damn joint. But while he's in my house, he's gonna respect my rules. Maybe you should outline that to your damn children and stop being pathetic little pussies. So, we have the fact that it's illegal. We have the fact that parents lie to their children and tell their children that, oh, if you smoke pot, you're gonna kill someone, you're gonna rob somebody, you're gonna rape somebody for pot. It's not heroin. Quit being a dunce about it. You know the truth. You know the truth. Quit going off reefer madness and what they taught you in DARE class because it's all false information. You want to know the true gateway drug? I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, the first time I did anything serious, and I'm not going to discuss that because I have a reputation, but I have done things that I'm not proud of. And the first time I did any hard drug, I was under the influence of alcohol. The first time I smoked pot, I was drunk. I was a kid and I was drunk, and somebody said, you want to smoke this joint with me, dude? And I thought it was a good idea. So, we have two key facts why marijuana is, you know, the illegalization of marijuana is the primary reason why spice is so upsold. Another thing that pisses me off is the excessive profitability of selling spice. Now, a lot of people want to sit here and tell me, oh, spice is illegal now. No, it isn't. No, it is not, because all you have to do is make a new chemical. The problem in this country is that we have to go through a judicial process of finding out the active ingredient and making that illegal. I like that process, but with the spice epidemic, it creates a situation where the manufacturers of spice are actually able to set their product ahead of the curve. They know that in a month the government's going to make this chemical illegal because the government's going through due process to do so. So what do? They manufacture a new chemical, and every time it's a gamble because you don't know how the chemical is going to affect somebody. The first blend was safe. Not safe, but it was substantially safer than the crap they're selling nowadays. And the next product could be even worse. So, personally, I would rather my son smoke pot than go behind my back and buy spice, because spice, I'm sorry, to all you spice heads, if you're watching my videos, remove me, because you have to understand the dangers of spice. If you don't believe me, let me tell you a personal story. You see, I came to a point in my life where I was living with a friend who had a rule in his house: no pot. I could respect that. This same friend was addicted to spice, and he introduced me to spice. What did I do? Well, naturally, as I thought I was achieving the same effects that I got from marijuana, I was smoking a lot of spice. And I got to a point where I was smoking 4 to 5 grams of spice a day, and that's a lot. That is most certainly a lot. In fact, I could not function without a hit of spice in my body, which is why I wrote a short story called Sugar and Spice. Maybe one day I'll post it. Now's not the time for that. But what ended up happening to me was I got to a point where I was not only chemically addicted to spice, but my body was fighting myself, saying, no, not another hit, no, no, no. Well, I smoked another bowl, people, and another one. Then I lit up a joint of spice. And at that very moment in time, my world came crashing down on me. You don't have to believe me, because I promise you, if you don't listen to me, the same thing will happen to you. My heart rate accelerated to 110 beats per minute, maybe even higher. I'm not kidding you. And that was the most subtle part of my adventure. Everything started spinning, and I started throwing up violently until I was throwing up blood. Then it got to a point where I couldn't breathe out of my mouth unless I had my head tilted back like this, and I was going And I begged my friends to take me to the hospital, and it never came. Till 45 minutes later, when my friend showed up, and the other friends told him what was going on. And I had to beg him to take me to the hospital. And finally, he said, you know what, I'll take you, but you gotta walk inside of the building yourself. I did. As soon as I got in there, I started screaming, "Spice, spice, spice," and I fell to the floor. They threw me on a stretcher, injected me through, every drug I could think of. And finally, I started to come to grips with reality. Hours later, a nurse came in and spoke to me and told me what they did. They saved my life. My blood pressure was so high, and I was having a constant heart attack, basically, is what she told me. You don't have to believe me, but it will happen to you. So, we have the extensive addictability of spice. We have the fact that we can't make it illegal, and the fact that we can't even test for this drug in our children. Yeah. They have one for JBR 101 or whatever the heck it was called. They have the one for the ones that are illegal now, but it's expensive to test for that. But the spice manufacturers are ahead of the curve. There's a new chemical every month. So tell me, would you rather have pot legal, something that is known to be safe and non-addictive, while it is habit-forming? I'm not disputing that. Would you rather have pot legal and risk your kids getting high? And, the law might be 18 or 21 or 24 or whatever the hell the government wants to set it to be. Or do you want your kids on spice and drinking alcohol? You can't overdose on pot, people. Wake up. Do some research. Do some homework. I'm sorry. I have to be direct this time. Thank you for watching. I'm Taylor Lasch.